What is up, gang? I'm here on a live. Probably don't do enough of these, but today I'm going to do one. And it's going to be the juice. So stick around to the end. And of course, tag your team in this if you want them to listen to this, because it's super important. We just got off a call with the United States team. Fired up, ready to go. It's Tuesday here. Tuesday, Choose. And just wanted to come and deliver some nuggets in here for you guys, especially the new people, but even the older people, the veterans, but anyway, anyone for Team Eagle if you want to listen in. So again, tag your team in this if you want to hear this. This morning on a call, Mark Reed said to us, asked us a question: why do you do this? Why? What drives you? And just things when you're on a call, sometimes you go to talk and train on one thing, and sometimes it just takes a whole different direction. And we just spent an hour just telling stories about what we used to do, what helped us become successful, and I guess we spoke this morning on that call for an hour about all the things we don't talk about a lot. And so I just wanted to come in the Executive Factory and do a live and just share that with the entire team. And if you haven't yet watched, it kind of got stirred up from Emily's keynote from Celebration. So if you haven't watched Emily's keynote from Celebration live, go back and watch that, because a lot of the stuff she says is exactly how our mindset is and how we did it. And she's followed obviously up that path for her own meteoric success. If you look at Emily, for example, she is 10 years into her build. She joined Ice 10 years ago. And you look at her now and you think, far out, she's a boss, a beast, she's a weapon. She's earned multi-millions of dollars with Isogenics, over that time frame. She earns about $1 million plus or more now. And what's up, Hatana? And people look at her and go, wow, she's amazing. But one of the things you don't know about Emily is that she wasn't amazing. And I think it's easy to get caught up in the fact that she's awesome now, but she wasn't to begin with. She had, I was talking to the guys this morning, she had a really bad perm 10 years ago when she first started. She was scared of public speaking. She cried when she got handed the microphone. And David Wood will tell you this story. And she was, there's videos of her trying to do a promotion video and her just saying 2 words. It was a shit show for her, really. And she'll tell you that. And you look at the woman now and you think, wow, she's amazing. Look at this. But she sucked. And the lesson to learn is what happened to us was the same thing. In the beginning, we were no good. We were handing pamphlets out on cars in the SeaWorld car park. We put little pamphlets on the notice board downstairs of our apartment. No one called us. We tried to set up a website, didn't work. We sent long messages to people that never replied. We didn't use social media at all. We didn't really know what we were doing. I was mainly on email. We tried to do face-to-face connecting only. It was just bad. We were just crap. We were so bad. And talking about where we are now, we've gone from effectively not earning anything 5.5 years ago to almost clipping the top 10 in Australia in terms of income. And we're now out earning some of the people we first saw on the stage at our first event who are 5-star. And I'm super proud of that. That is mind-blowing. And people often say, well, you did that now because of who you are now. And here's the truth. We made the decision to do that in 2015. It wasn't done today. We didn't create success today. We made that decision in 2015. We went to an event and we made a decision that we wanted to make Isogenics our life. It wasn't a side hustle discussion. It was before that, like when we first started, maybe, get a few people started, get some money. But it was like, we want everything that Isogenics offers. We want to travel everywhere. We want to leave our jobs. We want to be able to design our life how we wanted it. We didn't want just a few dollars. We wanted fucking everything. Like everything. We wanted all of it. We wanted all of it. And we saw in front of us, we saw an adventure to go on. We didn't see a box and nutrition and, getting in shape and, helping 1 or 2 people. We didn't see that. We saw this insane adventure to go on, this global adventure, this quest that we could go on, we could choose. And there's this saying by Helen Keller that says, life is a daring adventure or nothing at all. Life is a daring adventure or nothing at all. And for my whole life, I've never ever wanted the nothing at all. Never. I've never ever wanted it. It irks me. It makes me sick. I don't want to be nothing at all. I want to be the adventure. And so when we went to our events and we saw what Isogenics really was, it was more than just a box of nutrition. We decided to embark on an adventure. And we only decided once. It was like, we're going to go on this adventure and we're just going to go. And we're going to go. And whoever wants to come with us can come with us. But by hook or by crook, there's no freaking way in the world that we were ever going to be mediocre. Not a chance. It was just never dialed into us. We happened to fall in that trap with society, but when we saw this door open for us, we're like, we're going. And it was, the adventures are fraught with danger. That's what make him great. They're the ups and the downs, and the what ifs, like the mystery of it all, is so. Like, what else would you want to do? If you don't choose an adventure, you choose having a day job, doing what everyone else is doing, and then winding up at 85 and 90 years of age not having done anything, and then you die. And what stories can you tell your kids if you're doing that? What stories can you tell your kids? What stories can you tell your grandkids? And I think about some things we did back then. People now, they say, oh, you guys send this many messages and you do this, and you enroll this many people and you do this, and that's all great. But this whole life we have now, right? Like this, we built it ages ago. We built it in 2015 when we made that decision. We're not building it now, right? We're still doing the do, but we actually made that decision and did the hard yards 5 years ago. And all the things you guys are going through where, like what Sarah just sent in the message there, I don't feel very comfortable sending messages, but I got my first 100 no's. See, when we did that, that's where we forged it. That's where we forged the dream. That's where we forged the success. It was in those moments 5 years ago, not now. Not doing it now. I mean, we're still doing it, but it's not where we went all in. It was in 2015. And we never had not 1 second did we ever think we were going to quit. Not 1 second. And it's really funny because, we went, people often think it was easy for us, and it certainly wasn't. It was probably a lot harder, actually, because we didn't have the product range we have now. We don't have the compensation we have now, and we certainly don't have a system that we have now. And I wouldn't say even the level of mentorship. So it's a great time to be in now. And I think about what our life is like now. It's mental. Like yesterday, we went to lunch on a Monday for Alicia's sister's birthday. And we went to a nice, fancy restaurant. Didn't have to ask for time off. Didn't have to worry about family not being there. And we went there in the middle of the day on a Monday. Had a nice lunch. Everyone was there, family, and that we're living and breathing it. And I was sitting there yesterday at the lunch talking about what this business has done for people. And we're having a chat about what Mel's up to. Like, she took us to stunt school on Saturday, which is another whole other story. But Reese gave her 10 skydiving jumps for her birthday. She's getting a skydiving ticket. She recently did a refresher for her scuba license. She scuba dives. And she's going to jump out of planes, and she's been flying with him, and she's gone up Mount Kilimanjaro all the way to the top and down. She's been to Machu Picchu. She's traveled the world. She's been to plethora amounts of countries, had free trips. Just gets to do whatever she wants. And last week she had a $5,000 week, right? So she made $5,000 in a week. And I was looking at her yesterday thinking, fuck, this girl is like Amelia Earhart. And if you don't know who Amelia Earhart is, go and Google Amelia Earhart. And what caught my attention was like 5.5 years ago, she was in country Victoria in Horsham smoking cigarettes, eating McDonald's for breakfast, overweight, at a 9-to-5 job that was paying her $800 a week. Facts. She'll tell you. That's what she was doing 5 years ago. And now we're sitting in a restaurant on a Monday while everyone else is at work. Classy restaurant. She sneakily ran away and picked up the bill, which would have been hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And we're talking about her jumping out of airplanes and traveling the world. And since then, in 5 years, she sucked the juice out of her life. Like, you couldn't input as much adventure as what she's had in 5 years. Couldn't. And there wasn't a worry about the bill. There wasn't a worry about whether I can take time off to do my skydiving jumps. What are we going to do? When are we going to do it? And Isogenics has done that for her. Like, she made the decision to start, but it's the person she's become on the journey that has made her life special. And she's been able to do it with an Isogenics income that's multiple thousands of dollars a week. And she wasn't at the beginning special. She wasn't great. She'll tell you, she was 2 feet in, and she was, she never quit, which is the key, right? She never quit. But it took her some time to get it. Took her some time. She had to do the messages. She had to send messages. She went to an event, and then she took salsa, met some people there. Then she did this, then she did that. And then it's been one thing after another, right? And people talk about why they're doing this business, and I think they forget why. Because, you've got your Facebook friends list, and you're going to send messages, and you're scared, and you don't know what to do, and then you've got to go to an event, and you've got to watch Celebration, then, God, there's a 6-week boot camp to do, and then you've got to work out what Zoom is, and then you can get frazzled and caught up in all that stuff. And you got to remember why you're doing this. Like, there's actually a freaking hugely juicy life and adventure that waits you with this. It's not a box of nutrition. It's not network marketing. It's your life. You are doing this for your life. This is your life we're talking about here. And so when you don't show up for a call, or you don't show up for something, you're not showing up for you. You're not showing up for your life. You're quitting on your life. Next year, actually, I'll tell you this other story about, people that, there's this thing that you have to understand, this concept. It's called be, do, have. The people that are really successful, that are multimillionaires, then they don't have it because of who they are now. They had it because they developed the habits of millionaires before. So it's like you have to show up as a millionaire now and have the same habits they have now if you want to be that way. And so that's why we say, stay in the saddle. 90% of life is showing up, participate, get in action, be consistent, show up on time, go to events, post once a day on social media. Just these basics done is what makes millionaires. It's not the big things you see. It's not. It's just the basics. But so many of you don't even do that. So you're losing the millionaire habits straight away. So if you have millionaire habits now, you'll have the $1 million later. And I think of a story, if you wanted to know someone I think of when I think of that, it's Jake Todd. And everyone sees him having tremendous success now. But, Jake came in 3 years ago, lived next door to us, went and took him, had to catch up for a few coffees to catch up with him to enroll him. It was a winter blitz that we ran. And I'm like, Jake Todd, he's coming in, right? And so we caught up for a second coffee, and he was like reluctant. Anyway, he ordered a premium pack. And then Alicia invited him to an event, and he came, and he bought his own ticket. This is it, ready? This is how early he started his millionaire habits. Once he bought the pack, he was invested. Then, when we said there's an event on, he spent the $75 or whatever it was himself to go. He didn't ask for a ticket. He didn't expect a discount. And he just bought it. He didn't even ask where to find it. He went, found the link, got it, and that was it. And it was almost like that was the moment that he became a millionaire. Okay? Just in one habit that he went and did that. Then what happened to Jake, and he'll tell you the story, is that he went overseas for 8 months or so, because he, committed to Nicole to help, for them to go on an adventure together. And he knew it would impact his business. And of course it did. So he had a slower start, because you can't launch a business when you're traveling full-time at leisure to do that. You can't. And he knew it. So he came back, still didn't quit, stayed in their saddle. He got a couple cycles when he was over there, came back. And then he actually started a PT business, which takes a lot of time and effort and energy to build a PT business, by the way, and he'll tell you that too, which sidetracked him. And that's why we say every distraction is equal. But it was an element of a piece of a larger puzzle for him, because he was like, well, if I do this, then it is going to have a positive impact, because I have more flexibility and this and this. But he paid the price. He paid the price, because his Isogenics business really didn't go anywhere for a year probably as he built that. And he'll tell you, there's times where he was super skint going to an event. He's like, I don't know, I'm really skint. And I love his story, because now he's the opposite. He's not skint. He's really made a lot, and he's had tremendous success in the last 6 months. But here's what happened to him. He made a decision. Once he'd done that and he got that out of the way, he's like, okay, I've got my business set up, I'm okay. He actually went and forced himself to go to an event. He said, I'm going to buy an event ticket now to force myself to go in November, because when I know when I go to that event, it's going to juice me up and going to let me launch this thing properly. So he went 2 feet in at that time. He went all in November last year. That was it. He just decided. It was like a decision. It was 1,000% decision. I'm doing this. I'm going to the top. Nothing's going to stop me. I'm millionaire. I'm platinum. I'm everything. I'm jumping in the pool of Isogenics. I'm just going to jump into all parts of it. Not little bits, not here, not there, all of it. And if you look at his energy, it's that. It's posture. It's like 1,000% I'm in. And that was it. And so he actually became an Isogenics millionaire November 2015. November 2019. That's when Jake Todd became a millionaire. I can guarantee you that's when he became an Isogenics millionaire, right then. That's it. That's when it happened. It didn't happen now. Didn't happen later. He became an Isogenics millionaire in November 2019. That's it. And ever since then, he's shown up like a millionaire. He gets on course with high energy. He doesn't complain. He doesn't blame. He doesn't justify. He doesn't create excuses. He's fully accountable. He shows up. He learns. He applies. He runs a team call now. Early doors. He started running a team call as a manager. He hits ranks. He's aware of his ranks. He hits 2-star. He started doing those things, right? He started playing 100% as a millionaire would play back then. And it so happened he had this thing on his vision board. And his thing on his vision board was he wanted to take Nicole to Hayman Island. So he printed out Hayman Island, put on his vision board. And then he went up in our Derby team, okay, in our Asa Derby team. Now, originally, the Derby was supposed to be designed to go to Thailand. And they changed it because of COVID to Hayman. And so here we are, and we're coming 10th in this Derby. And there's some big, we have us and Reese and Venita and Daniel, Monique and Jake and Hamish and my brother. And it was like, we were coming 10th. We're like, this is a hard Derby. And so we all dug deep. When we started vibing in this chat thread, and it started hitting another energy level. We all dug deep. We all put on our millionaire hats and went to work. And, Venita was doing it while they had a brand new bag. I mean, they dug deep. There was no excuses in that chat group. And we ended up coming 3rd in the end overall for Derby. And what's interesting about that is that Jake has thinking, geez, I won this Derby. It's on my vision board. It's amazing. And one thing was that Nicole was to come with him. Anyway, so we're on this call for Derby to win, the winner's call. And you're not allowed to take your partner on trips unless you're in your recognition name. So he's like, well, that's the dream that's not going to come true. But here's the key. Here's the power of setting intentions and putting your vision boards together and announcing to the universe that you're going to do something. On the call, they said, this is the first year we're going to allow you to bring your partner and your spouse without them being on the recognition name. And he was elated. He was so overjoyed. So now he's got this free trip that was on his vision board that he's going to take Nicole to, right? And again, you look at him and go, well, it's Jake Todd. But he forged that dream in last year when he made the decision to go all in. He doesn't do it now. right? And I think for us, it's the same way. This story is something I forgot about, but I just remembered. Okay, now anyone who's seen my dad pop up in Isogenics lately, he hit top 37 income earner last month, top 37 in Australia, right? Dad and Poppy. And he just went eagle. So have a think about that. Just enrolled their 10th person, but how did they get to top 37 income earner in Australia if they've only enrolled 10? If you don't understand that concept, you have to understand the compensation plan better, right? But people say, oh yeah, but Lloyd's dad just was in because he was easy and he was a business and he's just done it. No. Let me tell you what happened. This success we're having now was built in 2015 for us. When we were grafting, when we were doing the uncomfortable things, that's when it started for us. So here's the story, ready? We went to this event, again, once we made the decision to show up and go to the events, we went. And we happened to go to this one Isogenics event, and we got this task. It was, weird. It was a weird task. It was weird. It was outside our comfort zone. And the task was this. You had to write down your why and your vision. You had to write it down, and then you had to seal it up in an envelope, and you had to send it to 5 or 10 people, declaring your vision, declaring your goal, okay? And it was like, in the next 12 months, I'm going to be here, and I would love for you to keep me accountable, and this is where I'm going to go, and this is what I'm going to do. And it was like, shit, we've got to send this to people. And I sent it out. Now, I sent it to some friends, and one was... And, my best man at my wedding and a family member, and I sent it to him. He didn't even have the decency to say, I got it. Can you believe that? Didn't even have the decency to say, I've received it, I'll support you, what do you need? Nothing. Right? Take the good with the bad. Right? That's what's going to happen sometimes. But what's interesting about that is that when there's the lows, there's the highs. So Alicia, 20-something-year-old, working for a paralegal for Bartercard, gets this envelope, doing the do. See, who would have thought that putting a piece of paper with your goals in an envelope would have done anything for your business? It seems so stupid. It seems so ridiculous. It seems so, how am I going to make money doing this? In your mind, you think, why am I doing this? But we committed to the pool of us, James. We jumped in the pool, which means we were going to do anything to make this work. So if someone says, write your goals down, put them in an envelope and send them to 5 people, we freaking did it. We have always showed up like that ever since. We show up every single time. Even the more ridiculous it is, we show up. Right? We do those weird activities because we've been told that that's what helps success, and so we're coachable. We just do it. So anyway, she writes her goals down, puts it in an envelope, and sends it to Dad. My dad sends it to my dad. Now my dad's had a freaking huge career in business. It's been tremendous. Massive highs, massive lows. Highs and lows that you and us will probably never experience, right? And so you think, well, geez, why would you send it to, you wouldn't think that he would need or want to be in this business or even need the products or want them. Nothing. You certainly he wouldn't want the products for sure. He was definitely a no-go there, if you know my dad. And of course, he already had a business, so he didn't really need the money. Why would you send it? But the task was to send it to someone to help them hold you accountable. So she puts the envelope together, sends it to my dad. Now, Dad opens it. My dad is a sucker for someone who's having a crack. As in, he will get behind someone who's having a go. He will really pour belief in anyone who's saying, I'm going to give this a shot properly, right? And so he opens the letter, reads it from Alicia, and then orders his premium pack. The same day. I'm fairly certain that's how the story went. It was 5 years ago, so it's hard to determine. But that's what got Dad started. He's like, I'll get her a pack. And that was the first step of him being in. What if she never wrote the letter? Right? Now, Poppy was our first customer. Dad's partner, Poppy, our third customer. And they started that. They got that center then. And they stayed consistent. Always stayed in. Never quit. Stayed in the saddle. And 5 years on, they started and enrolled their first person, right? One of their first people, Susan. In fact, probably their first. And she went out and built this amazing Dutch Team Eagle team. and we've all chipped in together, and we've all got on with building this European team, and now that's what shot Dad to the top 37, right? And they're on fire now. They're enrolling people. They're building a great local team and the Dutchy team, and it's just blown up. And if Alicia hadn't written that letter, maybe Susan would never have started. Do you know what I mean? It's the things you do today that echo in the future. So you throw a stone and the ripples have an effect later. So the reason I'm telling you this story is because all these weird things that you might be doing now, like how many people am I spamming? How many people am I adding as friends? Why am I sending this message? What is this silly script I'm sending, and why am I sending it? It's because what you do now is going to echo later in 5 years' time. It's going to change your life. Do you understand? Like, it's not about just getting 3 or 4 people started and making $100. Think bigger. This is a vehicle for your ultimate life, right? And you've only got to look at recent Venitas' meteoric success to see that. And everybody gets to choose when they go all in. You get to choose. It's your decision. This is your life. This is your life. You don't send messages for someone else. You don't do it for Lloyd and Alicia. You don't do it for Reese and Vanita. You don't do it for Mel. You don't do it for those reasons. You do this for you. And you get to design your life however you want it. You get to dream, I was on a call last night with Sam and Dean, and he's on this live. You might still be watching now. And he had enrolled 6 people last week. Fantastic. Went Eagle. Amazing. He's only new. But, I was thinking, I don't know if he even recognized it. But I said to him, what do you want to do? What do you want to... He's like, man, I want to move to Queensland. And I'm like, do it. And it was almost like he went, can I? It's almost like he needed permission. And he doesn't. It's just that we get so caught up in the automation of life that we forget about what we really can do, what we're allowed to do, what we have permission. No one's the boss of us here on planet Earth. Let me tell you, no one. No one is the boss of you. Okay? Even your boss is not the boss of you. Right? And so I said, what do you want? Why don't you do it in the next 3 years? Move to Queensland. He's like, his eyes lit up. Just like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go. And I was thinking, cool, man, let's go. And then I sort of dropped this bomb. I said, why don't we go to Europe together and build a business? And it's like, he's like, what? He said to me, I've never even been outside Australia. So this isogenics business is far more than what you think. What if it was the doorway for Dean to go and build a global life with a global team and take his family to places like Switzerland, places like Aspen skiing, places like Machu Picchu, the 7 wonders of the world? What if it was the doorway for Dean to build a life like that? Do you understand? This is isogenics. And getting back to recent Venitas' meteoric success, if you go and watch their journey, talking about when you go all in and the habits you put in place, when you make that decision, when you go millionaire. So they went Isogenics Millionaire in 2018 February. They went Isogenics Millionaire in 2018 February, I think. I want to say maybe around that time. Maybe. I want to tell you this story though. When we enrolled them, I didn't know who they were. Sent them a message. Vanita jumped on a call. It was weird. I don't remember what I said on the messenger call. It was not pretty. They were looking for something. They come in. And they got started after about 3 months of follow-up. Both on premium packs. Said that no one in New Zealand was going to be able to afford it. And there were just some limiting beliefs they got past pretty quick. And they started with 3 others. And they started as a 5-stem together. They got these people results. They got paid $900 their first check. And I feel like they just went all in then. They went to executive in 96 days, so crystal executive in 96 days, and they were having multiple thousands of weeks within weeks of starting Isogenics. Meteoric. The fastest build I've the fastest consistent build I've ever seen. Okay. And we were just like, we were ready to receive that at that point because we had not stopped for 4 years. So we were at that point, we're ready to actually recruit and mentor them then. Have we had it done it earlier, maybe it wouldn't have worked out. So staying in the saddle that long allows you to attract people like that into your life. And at the beginning, you're going to attract at the beginning, you suck. You're sucky. You're the biggest suck that ever sucked, okay? Just understand that's going to happen. And you're going to attract people that are pukies into your business. You are. They're going to come in your business and then you'll be like, oh, that's no good, right? You're going to bring those people in. But as I said to Gabby, I remember her face this morning on the call, I said, you're going to have to slay the dragons to save the princess. Look at the dragons we probably had to slay before Reese and Venita came into our business. Tons. We have enrolled 450 people in 6 years. 450 people in 6 years. And we should have only enrolled 27. That's the number of active consultants at that point we have that are obviously gone on to be director, manager, executive, and so on. 27. What we should have done was 27. What we did was 450. Okay? So put that in perspective. We slayed, the dragons to save those princesses. That's the facts. Okay? So we had to slay a few dragons before Reese and Venita come into our business. Now, when they came in, we went to an event together. So here's where they became millionaire. They committed to getting up. They have a gym business, and they had 2 young boys, and they came to this event, ICU. We flew over for it, and they went there. We're sitting around a table, and Andrew Logan does this piece about your why, and we were around the table saying what our whys were, and it got to Reese. And he wouldn't have experienced this before ever, but he got to him and he just started talking and then he started crying. He couldn't finish his words. And it was just like, that got him. That experience at the event where it came to him and we all looked at him and he couldn't get out what he wanted to say because he cried because why you want to build this business. The pain that he'd experienced up to that point was so great about what he really wanted to be as a dad, what he really wanted to be as a husband, and what he really wanted out of his life and his career, as an ex-professional rugby player, and where he got to, and where he felt he sat, and what he knew he was capable of, it hit him. And he went, Reese and Venita went, if they didn't go millionaire when they started, that's where they went millionaire. And the habits they developed from that point were just on point, and they've never derailed from that, not once. And so I'll give you an example of that. We went to New Zealand and we were about to jump in the car with them and go on this trip from Auckland down to Riverton, which is right at the southern end of New Zealand. Now, we had no idea what was in front of us. They might have thought I knew what I was doing, or Alicia knew what she was doing. We didn't know. We just knew that we had to get in front of their people with them. That's all we knew. Now, I'd recently resigned from my property business with my dad, and it was a hard decision to make, one of the hardest decisions. And I'd just recently done that, so all of a sudden it was just like I had no other commitments. So the commitment was we're going to go to New Zealand and go down the island with them and recruit people with them on this quest to join their business. And I remember they're walking out of the house to get in the car, the van, and I know in Reese's mind he's thinking, what the deuce am I doing? Like, what am I doing here? I'm about to leave my business, get in the car with these people we met online and go down to New Zealand to Riverton? This is crazy. But Reese and Venita jumped in the car and off we went. We went down. And I remember on that trip, we slept on the couches in some places overnight. And we had some funny experiences and we forged a relationship in that van together as a team. Okay? And they got to, through immersion, be around us long enough to learn the basics of the business and the mindset. But they sacrificed to do that. They did it against fear and against what are we doing? And they did the same thing. We went to Europe and they spent the money to get on a plane and come to Europe, right? And Reese and Venita were apart from each other for 3 weeks. And I think Venita was, I don't know if she was pregnant or not, but that's the sacrifice they made. They became millionaire in those moments. And people look at them now and go, oh yeah, they're having success. They're, second income earner in New Zealand. And they did that in 2.5 years, by the way. Isn't that amazing? They did that in 2.5 years. But that's why they did it, because they bet big and they went big from the beginning. They 10x'd it immediately. They're like, we want this and we're going after it and ain't nothing going to stop us. But they didn't go number 2 income earner now. They went number 2 income earner back then. So remind yourself, when are you really going to go millionaire? Because I can tell you, I just rattle off some names there. Like Melissa went millionaire when she went to a UAA event, and David Wood said to her, go and live an amazing life. And she committed, she'll tell you probably she committed at NYKO America when she flew to America, went to an American event there, looked at it all and went, and it's like the vision got her. It just got her then. She's like, all right, I get it now. I get it. I see it. She saw an adventure there that it was just perfect for her personality. If there was ever a business that was designed for Melissa Fernandez, it's the isogenics business, because it just gives a life of freedom and purpose and adventure. Anyway, so she went back then. That was 3 years ago, I think. 2.5 years ago, probably. She went all in. And the moment she went all in, she shot up. It's like she shot up, right? She went 4-star, did all the Star 1000 and went top. She hit top 32, 31. I want to say 31. Income earner last month. And had a huge week last week. And all those things I mentioned about her before, she's doing that. Jake went last year, November. Reese and Vanita went pretty early, so 2 years ago they became millionaires in their mind. Who else? I think my dad came in with a millionaire mindset, because he's had that. He probably went millionaire. He'll have to tell you. He probably went millionaire in 1983, maybe. 1983? I don't know. Dad can tell you. When did you go millionaire, Dad, in your mind? 1983, maybe he made the decision. So he made the decision a long time ago. And he did that. He probably did it after 5 years after making that decision. In a different industry. But I guess the habits that he forged back then was showing up. He always showed up. He went door knocking, selling, he got up at 3 a.m., went to work, came back, sacrificed time with family. They're the millionaire habits he developed in a different industry. He had them back then because he developed them. But it's the same now. There's no difference. It's just we're in a different vehicle. But the millionaire habits, you have to develop it now. You know? And we talk about all the time. Staying in the saddle, staying in the saddle, staying in the saddle. And the reason we say that is because it's where the millionaire habits are formed. It's in the saddle. Like you can't become a great cowboy if you don't spend time in the saddle, because the saddle, you got to get used to it. You got to fit into it. You got to get your technique right on the horse. You got to, you got to pick up things on the journey. And so there's this, if you haven't watched it before, there's this show on Netflix, and it's called The Defiant Ones. It's on Netflix, a documentary, Defiant Ones. And this is where I got the term stay in the saddle from. This is why we say it all the time, because it's from that documentary. The documentary is about Dr. Dre and this other producer, I forget what his name is now, and just an Italian guy, some Anglo-Saxon Italian guy. And they joined forces. Anyway, they ended up, they sold their record company to Apple for $1 billion. $1 billion. Okay, now everyone's like, oh, they're amazing. They sold it for $1 billion. They're billionaires. Bullshit. They're not billionaires now. Let me tell you when they went billionaire. Let me tell you when I'll tell you when Dr. Dre went billionaire, and I'll tell you when this other chap, I've got to forget what his name is, went billionaire. I'll start with Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre went billionaire when instead of partying on Friday nights, he went to the clubs and he started playing as a DJ in these clubs every single day. Showed up on time and got up one opportunity after another. Showed up, one opportunity led to another. That's really when he became billionaire. It would have been in the 80s sometime for him. That's when he became a billionaire. And I think about this other white fella, what's his name? I forget his name. Very successful guy, very well known. And what happened for him, he was a young guy. He had no hope. He was hopeless. Didn't have an opportunity, didn't have much going on. And someone said, why don't you go and work at the local record label down the road? I think you can get a job there. So he went and got a job there. The guy reluctantly gave him a job. He was sweeping out the place first. He was doing this first. But he showed up to work. And anyway, he learned to use the production equipment in the recording studio. He learned to use it. Anyway, what happened was Bruce Springsteen comes into the record studio and comes in and he starts recording. And they recorded Bruce Springsteen for 3 weeks or something crazy. I forget what the numbers are. 3 weeks. Jimmy Lovin, that's his name. Thanks, Daniel. So they record this Bruce Springsteen, ultimate superstar. And it was like 19-hour days, just brutal, just like no sleep, weeks on end. It was like hell week for Jimmy, and he was this young guy. And every time they did a recording, Bruce Springsteen said, "No, not good enough. Do it again. Not good enough. Do it again. Not good enough. Do it again." And by the second week, Jimmy had enough, and he's like, "I'm done. I'm had enough. I'm out." And the senior producer said to Jimmy, he said, "Jimmy, stay in the saddle. Stay in the saddle. Just stay in the saddle." That's it. That was all he said. Stay in the saddle. Stay in the saddle. I know it sucks. Stay in the saddle. It'll all work out. Stay in the saddle. So Jimmy, reluctantly, and it was painful for him, said, "Oh, fine, I'm going to stay in the saddle." And he'll tell you, if you rang him and asked him, he became a billionaire then. That was the moment. That was it. That was the moment where he became a billionaire. It wasn't when he was doing deals later, trying to sell this company to Apple. It wasn't then. It was in those moments in the recording studio when he should have stayed in the saddle when Bruce Springsteen was, playing hardball. When the going got tough, he stayed in the saddle. And I think Isogenics or any success is the same. But in our business, the reason we stay in the saddle is because, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to send messages to people. It's going to be hard to show up to events. It's going to be hard to do that. But if you want to be a millionaire, really, like if you really want a massive life, if you want to have a life like Melissa Fernandez, or you want to have a life like Reese and Venitas going to already have, where they get to stay at home, you want to have a life like Jake, you want to have a life like us. Like, we're going to be in Europe next year for months. We're going to go to the Blue Grotto. We're going to go to Isla Capri. We're going to swim in the Mediterranean, and we're going to eat Italian food, and we're going to have fun. We're going to drink. We're going to be with family. We're going to be with our team. We have this life. We're going to do that next year. I promise. By hook or by crook, we're going to be in Europe next year in summer, and it's going to be a dream. And nothing's going to be able to stop us. Nothing. And that's just going to be one memory of so many we've already made. We've been to Machu Picchu. We've hired hot rods in Maui. We've shared spa cocktails with multimillionaires in the Grand Wailea Resort in Hawaii. We've bungee jumped off the Nevis in New Zealand from a free trip we won to Christchurch. We've taken road trips down New Zealand. We've been to Europe twice last year on road trips through Europe. We've been in Cork at -2 degrees, freezing our asses off, to being in Fiji with our team only weeks later, to then being on planes at the highest natural wonder of the world, in a matter of weeks. We've been on stage in front of 20,000 people receiving awards. We've been recognised in front of peers. We've got financial freedom and flexibility. We've just done so many amazing things in 5.5 years. And you get to do the same thing because it's 5.5 years. It's 5.5 years. People often, I don't know why they say this, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. Well, for Christ's, it is, okay? It is. It is. I promise it is. It is get-rich-quick compared to everything else. For God's sakes, it's 5 years. Are you kidding? You know what? The amount of income we make now, you'd have to have 12 properties fully paid off. You can't do that in 5 years. I don't know anyone can do that in 5 years. It's bullshit. It doesn't exist. It's fictitious. There's no other way to build this life than this, and you get to do it. It's only going to take you 5 years. It's not forever. You've got other choices. You can go and get property for 20 years. If you want, you can go and build a share portfolio if you know what you're doing for 20 years. And it's still not going to give you the amount of income that this can give you. It's just not, right? We've got this beautiful new couple that's joined us from America, Lisa and Mark, and they're in here. They maybe watch this. I'm not sure. And they're at the point in their life where they say, we really need to look at our retirement. I asked them why they want to do it. And they said, you know what? And they recognize this. They've been around network marketing a lot, by the way. So they know. They've been around. They know what works and what doesn't work. And they sought us out for a system because they know that's what they need. And I asked them what they want. And they said, well, we need a retirement plan here. And they recognize that they need it faster than what the other vehicles can give them. They know that they can do it in 5 years, and that's what they need. Okay? But it's 5 years, but it's 5 years of millionaire habits. We didn't build this amazing life now. We built it in 2015 when it was challenging to get on a flight and go to events. We went to events. I had to give up a client once to make... when I was with my dad working business, if I settled a deal, settled a sale, I'd make X amount of thousands of dollars, right? That was commission only. Hard way to make money, my dad will tell you. But I remember if I wasn't there for a weekend, maybe I missed a client, I had to go to an Isogenics event. So what I would do is I would sometimes give up the chance to make X amount of thousands to go to a Super Saturday event for Isogenics where I could learn a bit more. That's a massive sacrifice. But my vision was so strong, it was so powerful. I knew this vehicle was what it was. I had 1,000% conviction that I was prepared to give up the thousands to do this. So I paid all the big price, but the price was worth it. Look at what we're doing now, So when you're on basic training, or you're in the executive factory and you see these things pop up and there's training to do, or there's a basic training to do, or there's an Isogenics event to watch, or an Isogenics live, or you've got to do this, or you've got to get your Facebook friends list out and you've got to send some messages, or you've got to get on a call, or you've got to, use the products, or do your cleanse day, or whatever. Yes, that's what you have to do. Because that's where you build the $1 million habits. You build them then. You don't build them later. You build it now. It's supposed to be hard now. Right? And you stay in the saddle long enough and 5 years comes around and you'll be one of the success stories. It's where you develop the habits. And you only got to ask those people I've spoken about how they did it and when they did it, and they'll tell you, And then now helping other people develop those habits themselves. So many people come into this industry and quit and get out of the saddle. And here's why that do. And by the way, no one ever actually quits, just so you know. No one ever really holds up the white flag and says, I quit. I think 2 people have ever done that in my career in Isogenics. Here's what usually happens, just so you know. Just so if you find yourself there, you can dig your way out, right? Because as Charlie Munger says, who's Warren Buffett's business partner, he says, show me where I'm going to die so I never go there. Show me where I'm going to die so I never go there. So I'm going to show you where you're going to die so you never go there. Ready? People don't quit Isogenics. They slowly disappear. And someone that stops showing up that I see, they're not in the groups, they don't do comments, they don't message us anymore, they don't get on a team call, and I don't see them show up for months. 3 or 4 months goes by. And then I get a message. And it's, oh, look, it's not really for me. And I'm like, I know. I'm not going to do it. I'm like, I know. I knew months before you told me because I can see who shows up and I can tell straight away who is committed to millionaire habits and who over here doesn't think the juice is worth the squeeze. Because if someone disappears and stops working, they can't see the vision that I can see. They think the juice is not worth the squeeze. They think it's going to be hard forever. And it's not. Right? Jimmy couldn't see that he was going to sell his record label to Disney for $1 billion back then. He couldn't see that. He couldn't. All he could see was, God, it's really hard to work with Bruce Springsteen for 3 weeks solid on 19 hours sleep. Oh my God. But he had a mentor reach down to him and said, Jimmy, stay in the saddle. You can't see that you're going to have an amazing life right now. Right? You can't. But I'm reaching down here to tell you to stay in the saddle so you can be a millionaire. So if you're watching this and you want to know what the secret is, it's that. Don't be one of those people that disappears. A duck. Nah, it's not for me. Quack, 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 quack. right? What's not for you? What is it about getting on a plane and going to exotic destinations with your family and going to lunch on their birthday on a Monday while everyone else is at work isn't for you? What part of this adventure is not for you? What part of having freedom and flexibility is not for you? Which part of it? Right? It is for you. It's just that you're not prepared to do the work. You're not prepared to have the embarrassing, humiliating moments of sending a message and getting a no. Or you're not prepared to go to do the silly things like put a letter in an envelope and send it to someone. You're not prepared to do it. That's not what's not for you. You're choosing that. But it's not easier anywhere else. It's not easier anywhere else. You go to any, ask my dad, he's in the insurance industry, life insurance, tough industry. It wasn't any easier there. It's the same. In fact, he'll probably tell you it's easier here with Isagenix because it's residual. What you're building is residual, okay? It's not like you have to work this thing forever. It's a residual asset. It'll pay you when you're not working eventually. There's no other thing that can do that. So instead of being someone who is going to disappear, I've disappeared, not for me. Get really clear on what you want this to be for your life because you get to design it. I'm giving you permission to design your life how you want it. You get to design it however you choose. You, no one else, you. You want a car, get a car. You want to go somewhere on holidays, get to do it. But understand that it's going to take years, not months for you to achieve that. And invest in yourself and progress 1% better every day. Okay, now, as Emily said on the Celebration Live, if you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. If you improve 1% every day, then after 1 year, you're 37 times better. And the people that succeed in this business, I promise, are people who want to get better. People who want to self-improve. People who want to, go on this quest, go on this adventure. They want to be better in a year than what they are now. That's who it's for. So if you want to improve, read books, get better, show up every single day and fall in love with the process. That's called staying in the saddle and riding the horse, okay? Fall off, get back on, fall off, get back on, fall off, get back on. And in 2 years, you'll probably mastered some of it enough to get to executive. Okay, 2 years. 2 years. Then, after you've done that, you want to develop some executives. But guess how long it's going to take them to get it and develop? 2 years. So that's 4 years. 4 years. It's a 4-year career. You have to go executive and create executives. And it's way easier staying in the saddle and getting 1% better every day than it is to come in and get 100% better in 1 day. Okay? It's not like that. You've got to stay in the saddle 1% better every single day. And over time, you get to build up and do that. It's built. And then after another 2 years, your leaders create leaders. Okay? And that's when it starts to grow by itself and you have these amazing paychecks every week and you get to do these amazing things in your life. When your leaders are creating leaders. But that's 6 years. 6 years. Okay? Interestingly, Susan Sly on the Celebration Live said, when she committed to Isagenix, here's what she said. She said, I'm committed to 7 years to Jimmy Smith. Now, Jimmy Smith, her mentor, has made $70 million with Isagenix. He used to be a butcher. He now pays more in tax every year than what he made in his whole career as a butcher. How about that? Let that sink in. And he said to Susan, why 7 years? Why 7 years? And she said, because her husband, Chris, it took him 7 years to become a chartered accountant. How about that? It took her husband, Chris, 7 years to become a chartered accountant where he still had to actually go to earn money every day. Wasn't an asset. It's not an asset to become a CPA. It's a job. He trained for 7 years to become a chartered accountant to have a job. He bought a job. It took him 7 years of hard work and he then could buy a job because he would have had to borrow money to go to school for that. Okay, so he borrowed money, did his CPA, bought a job. Isagenix was, got a pack of nutrition, spent the time and energy, got an asset. 7 years. Now she's made 20 million, as Alicia to put there. She's made $20 million with Isagenix. She committed to 7 years on auto ship. And some of you are coming into this business going, do I have to auto ship next month? Yes! 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 Yes, you have to auto ship next month. Yes, you have to auto ship next year. Yes! You've got to be your best customer. You have to be your best customer. You've got to be your best customer and you have to re-enroll yourself every day. You have to be your best business builder. You have to commit for 7 years. Do that. If Susan Sly, coming back from a world-class athlete with massive business and sales experience running health clubs, comes into Isogenics, still afraid, still fearful, still not knowing what's going on, and says, I'm going for 7 years, what do you think you have to do? It's 7 years. When we first started, we didn't even commit to 7 years. You know when we committed for? Forever. I was just going to be, I'm going to do this until I get it. It's just, I'm just going to figure it out. Okay? And we went a lot slower than Susan Sly. So if you're watching this live, you haven't got to the end of this, like some people will come and watch the rest of this, some won't. It's a millionaire habit. Do you finish what you start? Can you finish a live recording even? This is how minute the millionaire habits really are. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you can't finish a live, you don't have a millionaire habit. If you can't finish what you start, you don't have millionaire habits. It's in the mineral soil. It's in the day-to-day life you have is where you develop these habits. How you show up. Do you have energy when you show up? Are you committed? Is your video on? Are you using the products? Are you posting? Are you doing the basics? Are you thinking millionaire habit? Do you have a vision board? Are you really telling the universe that I want this? Because if you're not, you're going to have to, because if you do, the universe conspires to help you. Look what happened to Jake. Look what happened to us. These stories are everywhere. The question to ask yourself is, would you recruit you into the business as you are today? Would you recruit you? Would you? Really? Based on your habits, would you recruit you? If the answer is yes, great. You're on track. You've got millionaire habits. If the answer is no, why not? What are the things that you're missing? And I think what happens is people think that showing up to a call or having your video on or doing a vision board or sending a message that someone else scripted for them or doing a Fraser Brooks 15-day boot camp or watching replays of live celebration or eating, having your second shake for the day or doing a cleanse day. Everyone might think that stuff, or writing your goals down on a piece of paper and putting an envelope and sending it to 5 people. People might think that's silly because they're not making any money doing that. Sure, that's true. You're not making any money when you do those things, but guess what? It's forging habits. It's forging habits, and it's a compound effect. You start with a small snowball at the top of a hill, find a really long hill, and then you push the small snowball off it. And by the time the snowball gets to the bottom, it's a huge snowball because it's compounded over time. But if you stop doing the small things and the small habits, putting that small snowball together to roll down the hill, you'll never get there. So decide whether you're going to be staying in the saddle or not. But when you're in the saddle, ride the freaking horse, Actually get in there and see if you can improve how your horsemanship is. Stay in the saddle for sure, minimum. But start, herding cattle. And tag your team in this if they need to see or understand why they are building this Isogenics business, because I think many people have forgotten why. That's what I think. I think a lot of people forgot. They see a rank, I want to go manager. Why? I want to go exec. Why? I want to go 3-star. Why? 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 Start dreaming big today. So leave some comments or questions below and tag your team if you want them to see this. But this is really what it takes to be successful. Okay, it's what you do today that matters the most. The smallest little things done 1% every single day will get you better. Talk to you soon.